All right, everyone. So today I want to talk about an insane solo farm for any of these season one hearts, which is going to be extremely important as you develop into the later game. Now, you do want to watch this video all the way through because if you mess this up, you will permanently lose access to this farm, meaning that you will not be able to repeat it, which is kind of the whole definition of a farm here. Now, there are going to be some story spoilers. If you do not wish to see any of these season one story spoilers at all in this video, then, well, either skip ahead or wait until you've actually gone ahead and gotten to this point. But I will note, if you finish the season one story, you will make the method impossible. So you kind of have to weigh whether or not you care about season spoilers or not, because if you do, well, you're probably not going to be able to do this method. But it is related to the seasonal quest, which is why there is seasonal spoilers, right? And you're going to get the seasonal quest line as you start the game. You're going to go ahead and find out that you have to follow around this guy around the map, and you're going to basically go through the entire seasonal quest until you reach the seasonal quest, the Cold Hard Truth. Now, in order to reach this, you do need to finish, I believe, chapter 1 and 2 of the seasonal journey, which isn't too difficult. And then, of course, whether or not you are strong enough to beat these quests, they're not hard particularly, but in general, you're going to basically beat all of them until you reach the seasonal quest that takes you to Kyovashad in the top right corner with the Velkova Church Undercroft Malignant Tunnel. When you reach this point, you know, okay, this is game time. I don't want to mess this up because I will lose access to this farm. And so once you reach here, you're going to be basically farming this dungeon on repeat for as many Wrathful Hearts and in general hearts as possible. This is the best way to farm Wrathful Hearts in the game. And I'll show you how this works. So you're going to head over to that Malignant Tunnel and you're just going to enter it, the Church Undercroft. And oh my, we're getting blasted by a bunch of open world mobs here. Let me just clear out these guys real quick. And we're going to head into that dungeon, as I mentioned. Pretty simple. At this point, you might see some story spoilers. So again, if you don't want to see that, well, click away. But it's pretty simple. You're just going to run through and do the dungeon as normal. However, there's a certain point at the end where you have to sequence correctly in order to not permanently mess up this method. I've had a couple of friends that have actually messed it up, and it's completely soloable. You do not need other people to do this with you. However, if you have a friend that perhaps, went ahead and messed up, they can join someone who actually has this properly set up. So let's say my friend already finished the entire seasonal quest and they no longer can access this dungeon. That's totally fine. Well, they could join my instance and do the reset as per normal. You'll notice that there's a lot of malignant enemies in this dungeon. Now, you can click the malignant hearts to go ahead and get access to the other quality hearts. This is a really nice way to actually easily farm some of the other quality hearts, as you can see here. Well, we got a brutal heart, but that's not really what we're after. We're after the Wrathful Hearts, which are these unique ones, as you can see. Where is it? Right here. And they can be slotted into any slot, but you can only get one of them. Now, keep in mind, you can replace hearts, but you cannot unsocket them, meaning that you probably will want to farm a few copies of every heart in the game, so that just in case if you want to change your build and it is a core piece to your build, well, you're going to have access to multiple copies. And you can see here, as we're getting close to the end, we'll spawn another malignant enemy here, and this one actually happened to be a Wrathful enemy, which is even better. So that we can farm 2 Wrathful Hearts in this, because not every monster that we see as we go through will be wrathful. However, the boss at the end will always drop a Wrathful Heart. So oftentimes you get 1 to 2 additional hearts, brutal, vicious, whatever the other qualities are. And sometimes those can be wrathful, but the third heart will always be wrathful. So now we've entered the boss room here, and as you can see, it's very short. We are going to have to talk to Corman and start the dialogue, okay? You're going to kill off these little corruption blobs here. Pretty standard stuff, standard dungeon stuff. Go ahead and place the ritual incense. Okay. And then after we place that ritual incense, we're going to have to talk to Corman one last time. And I mean one last time. This is the final time you're going to be speaking to any NPC. Okay. So we say, I'm ready to end this. And he'll channel his ritual and he'll spawn the boss. keep in mind, and I'll say this again, do not talk to any NPC at the end of this boss fight. Oh, looks like we have to kill a couple of the packs here when he lights the incense. So, and then the boss will spawn. But do not talk to Cormond again after the boss is killed. Do not, because it will mess up your potential chance to reset this dungeon, okay? So you can see we killed those 3, and then the boss is spawned, okay? And we're just going to kill him as we would any normal boss, okay? Boss is dead. And watch what happens when the boss blows up. He'll spawn a Wrathful Heart. So then we can go ahead and capture that Wrathful Heart. And that's the end of it, right? We'll capture the heart. It'll spawn what's called a Varshan's Heart. However, what you'll notice with these Varshan's Hearts is that they have a chance to be any Wrathful Heart in the game. This is particularly important for some of the hearts that many of you have already seen, like the Wrathful Heart that makes your crit basically store and do extra damage at the end of it. This is going to be really nice for that one. I've farmed tons of them. I've farmed tons of my seasonal ones that are for the rogue. And you'll also get a copy of the Invoker, which allows you to potentially farm Wrathful Hearts with this Invoker in other Malignant Tunnels in the future. So if they do add some more later on in the season, or potentially they remove this method, well, you have a stockpile of these to go ahead and farm the Wrathful Hearts in the future. This isn't used for gear. This is not used for XP. It's just used for heart farming. It's very, very quick. As you can see, I can talk to Cormond, but you do not want to. Immediately after, you're going to want to do the leave game or, leave dungeon. In this case, I believe if you leave the dungeon and use the reset dungeon method, I'm not 100% sure that was working from yesterday, but we'll showcase it here. Otherwise, you can just leave the game and restart it there. Of course, I was running this in a group, so it's very easy to reset there. You just leave the party. But we could try the reset dungeon button. So we can go ahead and reset the dungeon, and we'll see if this ends up working. Again, if you're a solo player, you just leave the game if this does not work. And you can see here, it does work. So actually, you can just use the reset dungeon button. That's going to be the easiest way. You're going to leave dungeon and hit the reset dungeon button. Spam farm this as much as you possibly can over the next couple days, because you want to get a stockpile of hearts in order for you to kind of be prepared for any sort of changes or nerfs or things like that. And just to show you all for one last time, I've been accumulating a lot of the different hearts that I'm interested in potentially using for my build, and I'm just kind of matching these certain qualities. Of course, you don't want to keep a ton of these. I salvage a lot, as you can see from my resources in my inventory. That's mainly because, well, I don't have a ton of options to save all of the hearts, but you do want to save quite a few just in case, let's say, in the future. Well, this ring is a sacred ring. If I wanted to drop it up to Ancestral or bring it up to Ancestral and I find a better piece, well, I'm going to have a new heart for that. So it is really nice to have a bunch of surplus, especially for the ones that you really know you're going to be using. Other than that, that's going to wrap it up. Hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you all for the next one.